Consumer Report Giant Roam E Plus. The bike is almost 2 years old and has done about 12,000 kilometres. There have been some modifications made to the bike. The original semi-knobbly tyres were replaced by these Michelin ProTech e-bike tyres, which have a puncture resistant lining and heavy duty tubes, and since new they have never had a puncture. A Satori seat post was added to the bike to increase the height of the handlebars, and a redshift stem with rubber bushes also installed. The shortened stem makes the bike more comfortable to ride, and the rubber bushes damp out a lot of the vibrations. Redshift also sells a combination stem and lift posts, which can be bought as one unit rather than buying these two parts separate. An XOSS computer was added, which is GPS, Bluetooth, and does the job for less than $50, much cheaper than a Garmin, and all the data can be downloaded to an app which records every part of your ride. A headlamp by XOSS was also installed. This lamp is very bright, has different level settings of brightness, and a strobe as well. The strobe is activated by movement of the bike. When the bike stops moving, it cuts out after 10 seconds, so gives you a much longer life. The original giant pedals were replaced. They were too narrow and had sharp edges on them, which always barked the shins. The speed limiter was moved to a new position to line up with the pedal, which has a magnet, which means the 25 km/h speed limit no longer applies. A kryptonite heavy duty chain was purchased to secure the bike. This would be resistant to any bolt cutters. Probably you would need an angle grinder to get it removed from the bike, and also the lock is very hard to pick. This particular lock was recommended by the lock picking lawyer on his YouTube channel. A rear vision mirror was added. Once you get used to using those, you wouldn't ride without one. The mirror folds to the side in case of an accident, so it has never been broken, and if the bike falls over, it will probably be secure. A Satori seat post was installed. This damps out the bumps without giving the bike the pogo stick effect that some of the posts do, the adjustable posts do. Performance wise, top speed of the bike is now about 47 km/h, which is about as fast as I can pedal. An extra gear might get it over 50. Since I do some group riding together with some road bikes, the 25 km/h speed limit was ridiculous. Now the bike can easily cruise at 30 to 35 km/h, and when you come to hills, the road bikes have a problem trying to keep up. The battery is a standard 400 watt, which gives a range of about 90 to 100 kilometers in between charges, depending on how the bike is ridden. It takes about 4 hours to fully charge a battery from empty. The standard giant controller seems to work very well. Right now it is showing on the right hand side 10% to 15% of charge left in the battery, and the power setting is on automatic. When fully charged, there will be 5 lights on the right hand side, each light indicating roughly about 18 kilometers of distance to travel. When the distance to travel gets down to about 10 kilometers, the bottom light, single light, turns to red, and when you have about 4 kilometers to travel, it starts flashing on and off red. The different levels of the battery indicator lights seem to be fairly accurate. In other words, when you have 2 lights on, you can expect to travel about 35 to 40 k's. The bike can be ridden on the automatic setting, with one light on the left hand side. In this setting, the motor applies power to the way the rider is using it, and also whether it detects there are hills. I prefer to ride the bike with manual assistance, so pressing that button and bringing it down, one is the lowest level of assistance. Each succeeding press adds another level of assistance. On number 1 setting, you are getting about the same amount of assistance as if you were riding a road bike. So if you want to work out and use a bit of energy, just leave it on that setting. However, if you want to go faster or climb hills or go into the wind, just add power as necessary. At number 5 power, the difference is quite noticeable. As you add power to the controller, there is almost an immediate response from the motor, and it is very linear and smooth. The giant Yamaha motor has given no trouble at all and is very smooth, and it does not make any noise at all. Very hard to hear any noise when you're using the bike. The bike weighs about 24 kilos in its present configuration. When you get used to riding it, you don't really notice the extra weight, and the bike feels very stable. I find the best way to ride the bike is to keep the cadence up and add power if you want to go faster or you start climbing hills. Don't keep the power on a high setting with a low cadence, as this will overload the motor and also overload your chain and cassette, which will lead to premature wear. Maintenance wise, a chain lasts about 4,000 kilometers, a cassette 5,000 to 6,000, all depending in which manner you ride your bike. Back brake pads last about 4,000 kilometers. However, they are relatively cheap to buy and very easy to install. The front brake pads are still the originals. The extra weight of the bike and the speeds that you travel means that you're going to wear the brakes out faster than a regular non-e-bike. At about 8,000 kilometers, there was wear detected in the rear hub, which made the wheel a bit loose. This had to be repaired, and it cost about $150. You can expect this kind of wear on a e-bike because of the extra weight and the harder effort put into the rear wheel by the electric motor. Overall, the bike has been very reliable. It is a nice bike to ride. You have the best of both worlds. You can ride with the road bikes and keep up with them, and even leave them behind on the hills, and you can go off-road and ride with the mountain bikes to a limited extent. The wide handlebars, the suspension, the bigger tyres and the more upright position makes the bike feel a lot more safe and less liable to be caught on sharp edges or bumps. This bike ticks all the boxes, and I can highly recommend it. Would I like any changes? Maybe a bigger battery, maybe some more power, which is available on the more expensive giant bikes, and maybe some more suspension travel at the front. But if you want these kind of features, you can go and spend more money on the more expensive giant e-bikes, which tend to be more in the mountain bike range.